For people participating on the conference line, we're going to go ahead and bring your line into the main audio stream now. And those participating via conference, if you could just mute your phones unless you're looking to ask a question or cast a vote. Just a reminder, if you're on the teleconference, please mute your phone or device, whatever you're calling in from. Just a reminder, if you're on the teleconference, your phone or device, whatever you're
Is there anybody else out there for their temperature? Okay. The March 17th, 2020 special meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer. Mr. Ansello. Ms. Barnhart. Mr. Baroff. Okay. Mr. Baines. Ms. Boyce. Mr. Brew. President Carbone.
Here.
Mr. Delahanty. Mr. Florio.
I heard her, yes.
Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. Felder. Mr. Flagler Mitchell. Ms. Hassman. Mr. Hebert. Mr. Keofet Lacey.
Here.
Ms. Lamar.
Keofet Lacey. Here. Ms. Lamar. Keofet Lacey.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Mr. Mafucci.
He's on his way into the chambers.
Oh. Mr. Mafucci.
Here.
Mr. Marionetti.
Here. Here. Mr. Marionetti. Here.
Mr. Morelli.
Here. Here.
Ms. Roman. Ms. Smith. Ms. Taylor.
Here.
Mr. Turp. Mr. Wilcox.
Here.
Mr. Wilt. Mr. Udelson.
Here.
Mr. Zale.
We will need to suspend the rules of the legislature for the purpose of prohibiting public in-person attendance and waiving the public forum in accordance with Executive Order 202.1 issued by Governor Andrew M. Cuomo on March 12, 2020. You have a motion on your tablets, which is moved by Legislator Brew and seconded by Legislator Delahanty. This is a non-debatable motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Please join me in a moment of silent prayer. Please keep in your thoughts our first responders, those working in the medical community, and everyone who is supporting the community response to COVID-19. Please stand as Legislator Felder will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call this special meeting of the Legislature pursuant to the authority vested in me as President of the Monroe County Legislature by Section C2-9C1 of the County Charter and Section 545-5 of the Rules of the Legislature of the County of Monroe. This meeting has been closed to the public, and some legislators are participating via teleconference in accordance with Executive Order 202.1. In keeping with the Legislature's tradition of openness, the meeting is being live streamed on YouTube through the Legislature's official channel. Legislators, it is important that you speak directly into the microphone in order to allow for an accurate transcription and for those at home to follow along. To aid in this, legislators may remain seated while speaking. Those participating via teleconference will please mute their phones except to obtain the floor or cast a vote. There are also other members of the administration on the line who are available to answer questions. We will now proceed with the consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk read the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, motion to discharge referrals from committee.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is a motion to discharge referrals from committee. Is there any discussion? Legislator Felder.
Just for the clarification and for the public's understanding, just like the explanation of why these motions are being discharged from the committee instead of going through their committee process. I know the answer, but.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. We've had conversations with the legislative president's office and the majority's office and other members of the legislature. There was a decision made late last week that we would hold this special meeting using this new technology in order to help comply with the coronavirus and limit the public exposure and limit the number of people who were in contact with each other. As a result of that, I spoke to the legislature clerk, Mr. Moffitt. We had a discussion. We went back to people in the administration and identified referrals that were deemed essential by the administration to be acted on in advance of the April meeting or in place of the April meeting. So we came up with a list, we submitted that, and we're here tonight basically because these are items that we would like to see enacted before the April meeting. And again, I'm not sure what the status of the April meeting is, and that's something to be determined. But in case that meeting were to be canceled, we wanted these referrals handled. And then also we had several matters come up that were matters of urgency that we thought would be appropriate to bring before this body this evening.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 2, referral 20-0094.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Boyce.
Yes, I have a question with regards to
Can you
section,
please use the microphone?
sorry. I have a question with regards to section 2 of the resolution with regards to the Rochester Teen Court and the Center for Youth Services. Was there an RFP put out for this service?
Through the president.
I'm sorry, through the president. I apologize.
To you, Mr. President, would it be all right with you if I walked across the dais and got the other microphone?
Absolutely.
I'd rather
Yeah.
try to limit how many people are using the microphone. And also, if I could just state, Mr. President, that the county executive is at the Emergency Operations Center, and he is participating on this call through the call-in option.
Thank you.
Through the chair, this is Assistant Chief Probation Officer Christine Durant. Are you waiting for a response from us on this?
I don't believe your mic's on.
Through the chair, we're looking for the response in the paperwork, and it seems to be this was a sole source request. But if you have a better answer, we would love to hear it.
Sole source. Through the chair, no, this was a sole source request, which was approved.
Is that okay, Legislator Bluth?
Yes, that works. Thank you so much.
Any further discussion? Legislator Baines?
According to this, my notes, it says that this agreement is through 3/31/20. Is that a typo here, or if it isn't, what happens on 3/31/20? To the chair.
Through the chair, Chris Meyer, Fiscal Coordinator for Probation. This is a new initial grant with the state through Raise the Age legislation that was not adopted till late November of 2019. We are one of like 14 counties that has ours approved right now with the state. The contract is signed. There is significant talk of an extension and renewal. So we were told to move forward with our contracts at the state's direction with intention that this money is going to be extended through 2020. We have not heard word of that as of yet, though.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries.
Aye.
Next item, please.
Item number 3, referral 20-0096.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 20-0098.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to it. Legislator Hebert, did you second that? Okay. Legislator Delahanty, this is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 20-0098.BR.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 6, referral 20-0100.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Legislator Monroe here.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. One question, is the Rochester Monroe Complete Count Committee a part of the Census organization, or is it something local through the president?
Through you, Mr. President, I believe Rochelle Bell is available to answer that question on the phone line.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead,
go ahead.
Rochelle.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Oh, so could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Through the president, to the administration, is the Rochester Monroe Complete Count Committee a part of the Census 2020 organization, or is it like a local organization with local representation through the president?
Through the president, it is a local organization. It's not part of the federal Census 2020 effort
Okay.
per se, but but they're like endorsed by the Census 2020 process.
Okay. Then through the chair of the administration, the president of the administration, who represents the county on this complete count committee?
County Executive Bello is on the committee, and I am on the committee as well
Okay.
at the county level.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 7. Item number 7, referral 20-0105.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Heber.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, I sat on the Monroe County Steering Committee for the Ready Commission, and anyone could propose a project. The proposer had to at least identify who is going to pay the matching funds. It appears for all of the Ready Commission proposals coming through tonight, referrals coming through, that the county is paying those funds, and that was not part of the discussions we held during the steering committee. Could you please explain that?
Mr. President, I believe we have Tim Freeler on the line who's available to answer that question. Tim?
Yes, I am here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, through you, Mr. President, the 5% share, this is we're paying our share of 5% for the projects that the towns are building for us. They accepted the grant on our behalf because it's adjacent to some other town work and have bundled those. So we are reimbursing the town for the 5% share of just the county projects.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 8, referral 20-0105.BR.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 20-0108.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 10, referral 20-0111.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Yes, as Legislator Barroth here.
Go ahead, legislator Baroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through your administration, where in New York is Prime Care Medical located?
Mr. President, to you, I believe Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office is on the telephone available to answer that question.
Yes, I am here. Did he ask where the location of here is to the president?
Yes.
Their physical address, I don't know, but I can get that for you.
Through the President's administration, I just want to know their general location. Are they local? Are they New York City? Whatever.
Through the chair, no, I do believe they are local because they also service other New York State jails.
Okay, thank you. If the administration at some point could let us know if they're local, like Monroe County, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. Through the President.
Through the president, I could do that.
Thank you.
Legislator Boyce.
And this one, with regards to, through the president, to Ms. Curley, during our, time here with COVID-19, are you in the jail allowing services to be done by outside agencies? And this would qualify as being one.
Through the president, it was breaking up. I only heard part of the question.
Legislator, you might just move a little closer and try to speak up a little bit. Make sure they
being
can
very
hear.
timid tonight. Through the president, are you allowing outside agencies to provide services in the jail at this time?
Through the chair, or through the president, I believe we are letting the medical services in there. I don't believe we are letting any religious ones or any other family visitation. I'm not sure on outside mentoring programs.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 11, referral 20-0115.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is for introductory purposes only. Next item.
Item number 12, referral 20-115.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is a motion to table. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 13, referral 20-0115.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to set a public hearing. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 14, referral 20-0117.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator
Yes,
Hebert.
Legislator Barber here.
Legislator Hebert.
Mr. President, thank you. Through you to the administration, for this and the next referral, could we get a total of expenses from the Board of Elections to implement the changed election laws from last year?
Mr. President, I'll put this out to the phone call. I'm not sure if there's anyone from the Board of Elections here available to answer that question.
Yeah, David Raddick from the Board of Elections is available. Just wanted to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Through the president, we can get a exact total for you. This grant is just in regards to physical equipment that was purchased by the Board of Elections in the 2019 year. That includes the poll pads, the iPads that we purchased from Verizon, the kits that came with them from Knowing, and the scanners that were required to process the ballots on election night, and then the following week for the absentees. If you want an exact total in regards to poll workers, we can definitely get back to you with that.
Through you, Mr. President, as much detail as you can in that report, but just things that are related to the change in the laws. Thank you.
Is there any further
Absolutely.
discussion?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Go ahead. Legislator Baroth, is that you?
Thank you. Yes, it's me.
Okay, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. President, to the administration. So is this grant, you said it was used to pay for equipment used in the 2019 elections. I assume then that that same equipment is going to be utilized in the 2020 elections as per what the grant says it's for, is to fund equipment for the April 2020 through December 2020. Is that correct, through the president?
Through the president. Through the president, this equipment will be used this year as well, and in the foreseeable future for the following years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 15, referral 20-0118.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 16, referral 20-0120.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 17, referral 20-0121.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 18, referral 20-0121.br.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 19, referral 20-0130.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barnhart.
And I'm just wondering if there are any non-management and professional employees who will be negatively impacted or could be negatively impacted by this COVID-19 crisis. That's the first part of the question. And the second part is, are there any who are considered non-essential employees, and will they be made to come to work? What kind of arrangements are being made?
Through you, Mr. President, I guess I will maybe I'll start off answering that, and then I'll defer to people who are a little more familiar with the situation or the details of the situation than I am. One of the things that we struggled with, we had received a letter a week or two ago from President Carbone addressing the whole issue of sick leave. And that was something we were looking at the time, and it was something we wanted to do a thorough review of basically comparing or trying to benchmark against what other governments were going to be doing. And at that time, it was in the very early stages of the COVID-19 situation. So as we were looking into that, developing the policy, I guess there are a couple of things that I would start with. And again, if my answer is incomplete, I would look to others to help fill in the gaps. One of the first things we found, which hats off to the law department, actually the Board of Supervisors enacted a law in 1951 that specifically addressed the issue of quarantines. And we actually have a law on the books that gives us the ability to give 2 weeks of sick leave without dipping into anybody's accruals for anybody who's actually quarantined. That was the first discovery we made in our review of policies and procedures that we had at our disposal. But then, as we looked at it, is I'm sure all of us know, the federal government enacted a piece of legislation that cleared the House. And it's our understanding that there's agreement, at least in concept, between the Senate and the President in terms of federal legislation that would also do something very similar to what that quarantine would do, that would extend the provisions of the FMLA and make anybody who was affected by the coronavirus make that an eligible class, but also it provided for people to receive 2 weeks off of time without, again, dipping into their accruals. And then sort of simultaneous to that, the governor and the state government made its announcement, instructing local governments to try to cut the workforce by 50%. And that. So we had all of this going on within the matter of a couple days. So basically, we had a meeting with, a phone conference with the department heads. And actually, I would defer to Andrea Gazzetta or Andre Lindsay, whoever would like to, if you like to get into some of the details of what that sick leave is, even though that's not directly related to this referral. Legislator Barnhart, I think you bring up a good point because, one of the things we were aware of as we did this is, and again, when they're done answering about the sick leave, I can come back to what the rationale was with the comp banks. But we wanted to do something that was comprehensive and sort of addressed with all of this at one time. So I'll defer to Ms. Gazzetta.
Through the president, a memo was sent out to department heads and it was reviewed on a conference call yesterday with them. And then subsequently after that, we had a conference call with the union leaders to make sure that they knew what was being put in place. As the deputy county executive said, there is a quarantine leave policy that's been put in place based on legislation that was passed in 1951. Anybody who is quarantined will be paid in full without the use of their banks. Additionally, anybody with child care issues due to all the school closures and some of the daycare closures, they will be paid for 2 weeks. It does not have to be used in terms of the calendar 2 weeks. It's an 80-hour policy. Additionally, anybody who is returning to work from travel, whether it's personal or business related, from what the CDC calls a level 3 travel health notice country, and any of the domestic locations that are considered hotspots by the Department of Public Health, those employees also will be put on quarantine for 14 days and will not be allowed to return to work until they've been past that and are not showing any symptoms.
So through you, Mr. President, if you'd like, I'll get into what the rationale was with making the amendment that we're seeking approval for tonight. It's become apparent very quickly that we're sort of in uncharted territories here, and this is an unprecedented event that our community is facing. And already we've had a number of employees who have put forth an extraordinary effort. We were one of the early nights into this. The executive team joined Dr. Mendoza's staff at the Department of Health and were there while they were starting the contact tracing for one of the first cases we had. I believe we left at about 11 o'clock, and I'm sure they went well past that in terms of the time that they put into it. And again, I think one thing I would like to stress to this body, this isn't just the managers and the department heads. There are a lot of the professional staff who are involved in this. And over the last weekend, we all spent quite a bit of time with a number of folks who put in probably 20 hours at least over the weekend, and are there at the Operations Center now. So when we were looking at this policy, the people are putting forth an extraordinary effort. The comp bank we're contemplating what it is we could do to is a gesture of goodwill to the employees who are working hard with that. We sort of viewed the expanding the comp bank as something that would be a goodwill gesture to them, send them the message that is an employer, Monroe County appreciates what they've done. But also looking at this, we realize that we have to be sensitive because frankly, we're all aware of the financial challenges that this organization faces. So when we made the decision to come before this body and seek approval for this, we did so with the understanding from our end that it was a goodwill gesture that could be done with really out any cost to the county or to taxpayers. The way our policy works is the comp banks do not have a cash value. They would actually be allowed to take time off. And again, if they were to leave and whatever's in their comp banks when they leave does not get bought out, there's not a cash value for that. And we just thought that this was a reasonable request because, the other part of this is, we aren't sure how long this is going to be going on for. I would assume that these efforts are going to be going on for the foreseeable future. And again, we just thought that this would be a gesture that would be a token of our appreciation for folks who are putting in some extraordinary efforts and hours. So with that, I'll stop. And if there are any questions, we'd be glad to answer them.
Legislator Zale.
Legislator was done asking questions. And
I just had one quick follow-up. Thank you so much. Through the president to the administration, I really appreciate the thought and care that you're putting into this, and I understand that everyone's working very hard. I support this resolution. I would just add that all day long, I've been hearing from people all across the county who are being told they have to go to work, and they work in jobs that I don't think any of us would necessarily consider to be essential. And I would just ask you to take care when you make the decision about who has to come to work in this environment and put the health and safety of employees first. And I trust that you will do that. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, I'm not sure, unless I'm missing it, that I see a sunset on this. So that's more of a statement. My question is, would we revisit this at a later date to amend what we're passing to go back to the original statute?
Through you, Mr. President, that's not what our intention was, but if that was something that this body felt strongly about, obviously we'd be willing to talk about that.
The intent, I'm sorry, through you, Mr. President, the administration, the intention would be to keep it at the 15 days as this resolution states.
Yeah, through you, Mr. President, if you if you look at the compensation of our employees across the board, and one of the challenges that we face, and again, this isn't just for the M&P class. Actually, I think you could make a pretty strong case that it's actually more of an issue with the employees covered under a collective bargaining agreement. When we entered the transition, it was shocking to me that pretty much every department head that we asked for, or that we talked to as we started, basically said to us, when what's the number one challenge we face, and without exception, every department head said it's the salary structure and what we're paying people, our employees, makes it extremely difficult to attract and retain talented people here. And again, I think our preference would be to offer this and keep it in place. And again, I don't know that these 2 weeks additional of comp time accruals are going to make people decide to work here who wouldn't be doing so otherwise. But I think it's an indication that at least we're trying on some level to change the culture in terms of putting more value, a higher value on the people that work for us.
Thank you. I truly appreciate the individuals that would be putting in far more than 5 days. In reading this, 5 days was a shock that was the policy to begin with. So I appreciate that, and thank you for your answer.
Legislator Felder.
Have the employees been notified of this of the policy and the processes they need to go through in order to take advantage of these?
Through you, Mr. President, no, they have not. We didn't want to presume that this was going to be approved by this body. So there are a few of the department heads that know this, but no, this isn't something that is widely known among the staff.
But through you, Mr. President. But as soon as we pass this, they will be notified.
Through you, Mr. President, yes, they will be.
Thank you.
Legislator Baines.
Through you, Mr. President, I would like to encourage you to continue to bring requests of this nature forward. And anything we can do to support employees who are being pushed beyond the limits of what's the reasonable expectation for a work week. Small things go a long way. And I wish we could pay them way more than we are, and hopefully in the future we will. But I appreciate what you're doing by bringing this forward, and I would ask you to be bold and do it again. Thank you.
Legislator Hebert.
Through you, Mr. President, to the administration, is this expected to be retroactive?
Legislator Hebert.
Or is it effective from the date it's passed here going forward?
Through you, Mr. President, I would actually look to somebody from the law department. I would think it would have to be from tonight forward. We wouldn't have the ability to go back retroactively, and people are nodding their heads. So yes, that would be how we would handle that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Yes. Yes. Legislator Flagler Mitchell. No. Yes, no. Yes. Legislator Flagler Mitchell. Yes, no. Yes. Legislator Flagler Mitchell. I have a question.
Go ahead, legislator.
When choosing the people who will be laid off, is this going to be chosen through seniority, or how do y'all come to that decision?
You said the people that are being laid off, is this based on seniority? I believe that's what he said.
Through you, Mr. President, we have no intentions to lay anybody off. No.
Put people on leave through you, Mr. President, or put them out.
Through you, Mr. President, I believe the question is we decide who's going to be staying home or not staying home, is seniority a factor in that? I believe that's the question. Okay.
Pretty good guess.
So Through you, Mr. President, what we've done under the leadership of the Ms. Gazetta in the Human Resources Department is we sent a memo out to all department heads, which I believe we did get back today. Yesterday. I'm sorry. I also, if I could take a second to just explain our operations here. The county executive, his chief of staff, and some department heads are operating out of the emergency management center, and then Deputy County Executive Crosdale, myself, and a few other staff members are operating out of the county office building. So we're communicating multiple times daily. So again, that's why I wasn't quite sure if that memo got back last night or today. But that all department heads sent a memo with what was essential staff and non-essential staff. The governor's directive exempted certain parts of our organization, the hospital, the sheriff's office, and I'm sure there are others that I didn't mention here, that they are exempted from that. The people who are essential are essential, and they really need to be here. In terms of the people that aren't, we're looking at also trying to come up with some type of a rotation system. So it's my understanding here that as we do this, no employees will be denied pay if they're being kept home as a result of this directive and this policy. So they will get paid. And again, as long as this goes on, they will not have to use up any of their time accruals.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 20, referral 20-0131.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Legislator Zale.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the administration, I fully understand and appreciate the opportunity to extend the authority to the county executive for purchases from the current 20,000. And this referral mentions up to $150,000. I can't remember if I saw this in a previous version of this referral or in notes somewhere of where it was at 100,000, and now this referral says 150,000. I can't remember. Maybe I'm making that up. My question is, I fully support this decision. This is really just I'm asking a question. So through the president, the administration, what items would there be between $100,000 and $150,000 that we might need to give the county executive permission to get without needing to get permission from
The legislature.
this body? Yes, thank you.
Through you, Mr. President, I think in this crisis, there is a need to potentially procure professional services that wouldn't necessarily be the case in another crisis, in the windstorm, for example. So some of the items that I communicated with the health department with respect to this referral, some of the issues that they have flagged are laboratory technicians, skilled nurses, licensed nurses. And then I think where the cost, to respond directly to your question, I think where the cost could get pretty high pretty quickly. Concerns if we have to retain physicians, which the health department has flagged as a potential need, that they would need to retain physicians or perhaps other public health experts on an expedited basis to help address the crisis, as well as just potentially, again, other surge staffing needs with respect to healthcare expertise. So I think that's why we wanted to err on the side of caution with a higher number.
Okay, thank you. I fully understand and believe this to be something that is both prudent and wise, keeping in mind a lot of the things that have come down to make sure that we have a lot of social distancing, so we don't have to convene every time that there is something that this legislative body would normally have to act on. So I fully support that, and thank you for the answers. I guess my last question, you may have already stated through the president to the administration, some of those items that you've mentioned, contracting with some of these professionals could end up over the 100,000 mark? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to speculate, through you, Mr. President. I don't want to speculate at this time as to exact costs, but in my discussions with the health department, we wanted to err on the side of a higher authorization for the reason that you identified, that we want to make sure that we can act quickly as needed in response to this crisis.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries.
Item number 21, referral 20-0132.
Moved by legislator Bruce, seconded by legislator Delahanty. This is to adopt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. There being no unfinished business, legislator Brew.
We stand adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 14th, 2020.
We hope, right?
Yeah, we hope.
Oh, no.
Thank you.